Alright, so this is going to be our second crack at a regular Berlin game. There's no restrictions, we're not doing any of the challenges or anything here, just trying to get to 1,000 passengers, regular Berlin. There's another video I did before this one. It's a failed game. If you're interested in seeing why a game, they're just not all winnable. Effectively what happened is the triangle on the southwest side of the river was a key component of the system. You gotta have a triangle as a hub on the southwest of Berlin or you're pretty much dead in the water. That triangle turned into a special station, the Plus, in the third week or something like that, and at that point it was pretty much toast. In any case, in that other video I mentioned that you can really get through the first week or two just throwing lines down all over the place. You don't have to be super careful about it. 3 trains, 3 lines, it's pretty easy to keep a system up and running. You just slap the lines down and don't worry about it too much. After you get a little deeper, then you start thinking a little bit more carefully. Alright, so in most games, I would select a new line when I get it as an option in the first few weeks. The extra lines give you the ability to be more efficient with your routing. In Berlin, though, tunnels are really hard to come by. So if you see a tunnel, you gotta take it. So we'll take that tunnel, and hopefully we'll get a line next week to work with. Alright, so this is pretty classic, right? I've got a whole bunch of circles down south, just one triangle so far. One of my circles turned into a special. It's nice that we didn't lose our triangle this time. And I'm gonna cheat a little bit here and just move that line over. Don't feel like you need to service every single outlying station all the time. It's fine to just let them accumulate passengers once in a while and kind of micromanage things occasionally. Try setting that down there. I'm going to pause it for a second, make just a comment about special stations. If you can connect them as directly as possible to your hubs, you'll find that things work better. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get passengers from, somewhere up north, bound for the water drop type thing, and that passenger is going to ride all the way down the red rail to that station. That's going to prevent the train from picking up other passengers. So the faster you can drop those guys off, the better off you're going to be. Alright, let's see, what are we going to do down south here? So I'm going to bring the tail end of this guy out. So this is what we call a V line. Basically, this teal-shaped thing, I'm not going to close that loop because I don't want it going through those circle stations all in a row. What I want it doing is passing through the triangle at the point of the V as often as possible. Alright, so here's another option. As I said, always take tunnels. So we'll take tunnels again. We really do need a 4th line here pretty soon, though. Got a couple extra engines, though. Let's use those. Getting a bit clogged up here. Put that through to that special station. And up north, what are we going to do to service that other dot? I mean, that's the easy play, right? That might work. We'll give it a try, but I'm not sure that we'll be able to service all that. But let's throw an extra train on there just to see if that works out. Ah, that is nice. Okay, I like that. So it might be tempting to do this. That's the shortest route. But now I got 2 circles here and this one, and then 2 triangles in a row. Well, that's really not efficient at all for dropping off passengers. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab the line between the circles and double back. It looks ugly, but it's going to pick up and drop off passengers way more efficiently. I'm still not closing this loop because I do not want this train going through 2 circles and then a special on its way back to the triangle. I'm going to leave it as like a V line. Okay, so we just lost another one of our circles, which is good. Didn't take a triangle this time. So one of the things that we could do, just picked up another circle. Well, we're going to have to do that. All right. So this dark teal line is definitely the one to watch. It's got the most stations on it. It's probably going to need another engine on it at some point. Seems to be holding up. Ah, sweet, another triangle. That's nice. All right, we'll just do that for now. All right, train. All right, so I don't think I can pick tunnels again. I really need a 4th line here. So I might regret that later, but I'm going to take the line. So now we have some options. What are we going to do? There isn't anything here that I'm too concerned about. I don't really like the 2 back-to-back circles up there, but they're not backing up yet, so not a problem. This new circle up here, you always get one up in the fork of the river there in Berlin. It's just a given. You'll have it. I think what we're going to do is try something like this. So I'm going to go from there to the triangle. I'm going to create a new way to get across to the square. And what that's going to mean is that passengers down here and from this triangle here are going to, square passengers will get dropped off in this triangle now instead of riding to the end. Passengers will generally try to take the shortest route to their destination. So let's see how that works out. And you'll note that that used up both of my bridges. So now I have no more bridges. And I have another circle station that just spawned in a bit of a tricky spot. So I think I'm going to pause it again. Actually, I'm going to let my train on the red line get going. Okay, there it goes. Actually, I want him to get past that triangle. There we go. All right, so we're going to totally re-architect this line. So we're going to go, so it starts with a triangle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. And I'm going to use, I think, this teal line to do that special. So here's the thing. I'm not gonna take the circle here at the end off yet, but I am concerned that trains on this line coming from the square up here, they may be so loaded with special destination passengers that they can't do anything. But that's actually not a big problem, because if there's any circle destination passengers on the square, they're not going to ride on that teal line all the way out to this. There's no way. So really, this teal line is all about taking passengers to the specials. When it gets to the end of the line, on the circle down here, then it's going to pick up anything that's there, come all the way back either to this triangle to drop them off at their desired destination, or if it's a square passenger, it'll drop it at the triangle and eventually make it over the river. So this kind of layout where you've got special stations all in a row coming off of your hub, followed by something like a triangle or a circle at the end, is pretty good. Because now your train will be full on the way out through these, and it'll be empty by the time it gets to the plus at the end, and then it'll go here and pick up and come back. All right, let's see what's happening. Oh, we're getting more up top. All right. So that's getting tricky. Obviously, I've got, if I do this, 3 circles, that's just not going to work well at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that one out, do it like that, and I'm going to take my yellow line, and again, another V. This time the tip of the V is the square, which is the most important station on this whole map. And I've got circle, triangle, square, triangle, circle. That's nice. Let that go again. So I'm looking at the red line now. It's pretty long. Probably needs another train. Doesn't have a ton of stations, but it's just stretched out. So we'll just see how it does. You'll notice, remember I dropped this off and I said that square passengers would start showing up there. So there they are. You can see them starting to stack up. We've got another square on the map, but it's not in a place that's really going to help us, unfortunately. So that's not great, actually. Our green line is starting to get a bit loaded. All right, here's an easy choice. Another line. All right, so what do we need to do here? These two stations up here, those are a problem. This red station down here is kind of stretching it out farther than I'd like. I don't have any tunnels, so I'm pretty limited on what I'm going to be able to do there. So let's try. Well, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use what's called a ghost line to relieve some of the congestion that we've got here. So basically we've got a bunch of triangle passengers up here. They're not going to get on that train because it's going to a circle. They'll wait for it to come back. But by the time it comes back, it's going to be half full or more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a ghost line. I'll start it, let that train fill up, pause it, and delete it immediately. And so as soon as that train gets down to this triangle here, the line will disappear. That's why it's called a ghost. And I can do more than one of those if I want. So let's do another ghost here to relieve that. So this won't do anything until that train, because I have no extra engines. So that disappears, the new one starts, pause it, and delete that one. If you're watching this and thinking, hey, that's cheating, I don't really disagree. But if you want to beat all of the challenges and score well on some of the dailies and stuff like that, you really need to do that. You can't get around it. Oh, here's a place where I should have fixed the 90. There we go. Yeah, you can't beat the harder challenges without ghost lines, so it's worth explaining how those work here. Okay, we got another triangle popping up in a place that's really not going to help us out very much. It's kind of unfortunate. Here you can see a whole bunch of special passengers showing up, so they're waiting for these trains over here on the teal line. This train here that I just grabbed is going to Never Never Land. There's nothing useful for him to do there, so I'm going to redirect him over here. Let him deal with those guys. So there we go. I'll pick up a bunch of that stuff. The red line's doing okay, but you can see that train that just rolled through down here, he only picked up one of the 5 passengers that was there. So that line is over capacity. That's a problem. And we just grabbed another special station. What are we going to do about that? I'm not sure. We do need to get something to the square. I'm going to use the yellow line because those stations are clearing out pretty quickly. Nothing's backing up. It probably has capacity. And this triangle over here is just a problem. So I'm going to clear it off with my ghost line. Now here's something interesting. You can connect this ghost line to whatever you want. Triangle to triangle normally wouldn't do anything, but since it's the only option out of this station, those guys will go on it. But that was actually kind of dumb. A better routing is right to the hub. So we'll do that, clear that out, delete it. Sometimes the interface is a bit flaky about deleting lines. And let's see how things kind of shape up here. So the red line is definitely just doesn't have the capacity that it needs. So we'll help clear some of that out there with our extra ghost. And this train here, yeah, so you can see we're going to need to do a bit of micromanaging here. This is Berlin. It's a tricky map. Can't always just create a perfect network that runs without any interference. You sometimes just have to babysit things. Okay, a couple of new stations have popped up here. I'm just going to ignore this triangle on the east side of the river for right now. Without a tunnel, there's not too much I can do about that efficiently. But this is kind of interesting. So we got a new triangle here. That kind of changes things. Because now, if I take that one out of the loop, yeah, I do have 2 circles in a row. But if you have a triangle on both sides of those 2 circles, it's not so bad. Basically what happens is the second circle that the train encounters is the one that gets kind of overlooked. The train will be too full to fully pick it up. But when this train's going west, that's the second circle. When it hits the ending and reverses and goes east, this becomes the second circle. So now all of a sudden it's balanced and it works out pretty well. However, we've got another circle up here, so I got to do that. Now that line is really getting pretty long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it off a little bit. I'm going to extend, yeah, I think my red line like that. What I really want to do is actually shorten my red line up and use a new line down here and tie it into this triangle here, but I don't have the bridge to do it, so I can't yet. So instead, I'm going to throw my newly acquired train. I was going to throw it on the red line, but you know what? I'm not. I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to keep doing my little ghost line technique here. Oh, perfect. Okay. Got another line. Still didn't get tunnels, though. All right. So this guy here is a problem. A couple of triangles, a whole bunch of special stations, 2 of which are this water drop looking one. So let's do that. That'll get some of those guys out of there. And then that green train's rolling in. He should be able to handle the rest of that. So that's fine. This needs to get cleaned up before it gets problematic. So we'll do that. And so you'll notice I've got a train on a ghost line, but I've got a train in reserve ready to go. And I have 2 extra lines. So at this point in the game, I can technically run 2 ghost lines. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop that. So I disconnected this station up here. That gives me a tunnel back. Now I can use a tunnel as a ghost line. So what I can do is I can send these guys straight to the square, but actually the special passengers are the bigger problem here. So I'm going to send them to there and let them go. So until I get some more tunnels, I may be forced to play the game like this for a little bit. So let's send these guys up to the triangles. So I just wait for the train to load up, pause it, shut it down. Send this guy up to my hub as well. There he is, spawning, he's going. Okay. This triangle is going to overflow pretty quick. Where is my next train? So here's one on the teal line. He's going to drop off there, There's nothing to pick up here. So let's just send him right back like that. That guy's in there picking up that guy. You saw the way he paused like that? The trains will sort of space themselves out in the line a little bit without, sometimes in a way that really is annoying. But they do it. All right. And let's send these guys up to there. And we'll clear this guy out again too. And let's get some of these star passengers out of there. There's 4 of them, it looks like. So that's an efficient way of using a train. Okay. Got a bunch of squares and no train on its way to pick them up, so let's do that. There we go. And some of my outline guys are getting ignored here, so these guys want to go to a square and a triangle. Let's just do that. Give the yellow train something to do when it gets back up there. Okay. And we really need an extra tunnel here as soon as possible. Let's see if we can do something a little bit more efficient. Let's do that. So I have a choice. I can either have a sharp bend up here at the circle or here at the triangle. Well, the triangle is always, I'm going to be always dropping off something at that triangle. So that means the train's always going to stop there. So let's route it like that. And then I really can't connect this right now. I do not want to do that. The red line's overused as it is. So let's just let the network run like this for a little bit and see what happens. I kind of feel like I want to do this. You know what? This is a much better routing now that I look at it. We shouldn't be running. So we had 2 circles back to back on this teal line, and I said that was okay because there's triangles on both sides, which is true. But it's a little silly to have this yellow guy come across and use a bridge just to end, whoops, like that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So let's do that. That'll allow some square passengers to travel on yellow. It'll help declutter some of the passengers at that circle. And should make this work a little bit better. Let's see what we got here. This is getting overflowed again. Just really don't have enough. You know what, I'm gonna stop using 2 ghost lines. I'm gonna put another train permanently on red. Alright. Getting pretty busy down here. So we'll send another, oops, right there. And that guy, oops, actually that's all circles, so that does make sense. We'll just do it like that. Oh, no tunnels. Killing me here. Alright. So, what are we going to do? Alright, here's another sort of semi-advanced technique. So, up here, if I do this, what's going to happen is, this train's going to fill. I'm going to delete it before it gets off the island there. You'll see what's going to happen here. So it fills up, starts rolling, and I delete it. That's basically going to concentrate all of the guys at that circle. Once they're there, then I'll decide how I'm going to get rid of them. down here, I'm gonna shortcut some guys to the plus. Just try to alleviate some of that problem. And then, okay, those guys are in. So, we've got 4 triangles, 3 squares. There's a real mix. So there isn't one place that we can go that's a perfect solution for that. But getting them across the river is probably a good plan. So let's do that. And so I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to run it again. Actually, no. Change my mind. It didn't take most of the squares. So let's send the next one to the squares. There we go. All right. So another triangle way out in the middle of nowhere. That one and this one, this is not great luck, honestly. Without bridges, we are really in trouble. So I really need to make use of some of these extra lines. It's getting a little silly. So I'm going to back that off. That gets me a bridge back. I'm going to put this up to there. I'm going to try taking these off. And let's see what we can do here. So, I really wanted to shorten red a little bit. And he needs... Okay, so red needs to be able to pick up some triangle passengers as he's heading west through here. So adding this triangle onto the end is going to allow him to do that. And then I think I will try that. I'm going to get rid of this. And let's get crazy here. Let's see what happens if we do this. Okay. That gets me another tunnel. I can do that. I'm honestly probably never going to connect this triangle. It's a waste of a tunnel. So let's see. The yellow line is pretty short now. So why don't we try to do that, that, and that. That's 3 circles in a row. There's triangles on both sides. That's not great, but it's potentially doable. Let's see how this runs. Oh, almost didn't see that. This one down here is getting a bit ugly. So he's got mostly triangles. Let's just send a ghost line up there like that. Help him out. Okay. And we need to help this guy out before things... Oh, maybe he's going to get picked up. Yep, that's okay. All right. We got this guy up here that I didn't deal with. So he's got a few specials, so I kind of want him to cross the river. So I'll send him down there. Okay. Delete it. And the yellow line is probably too long for a single train. That's kind of the problem, is I've only got 1 train on there. So I'm going to do the same thing. Send that across. Help that guy out. Oops. There we go. And what else is a problem here? Down on red. So notice that I am really using these ghost lines heavily here. I've done the Berlin map before without doing this, but it really depends on what your layout looks like. You know, this is tricky. I'm not getting a lot of bridge options. I've got some really far-flung stations, which would be really hard to connect permanently to a network. It's pretty good down in the southwest here. Honestly, it's not that bad. I've got quite a few triangles spread around, which is usually the main problem down there. But yeah, I did want to finish this and get to the 1,000, so I'm going to try to use these just to get this complete. So I've got something recorded that I can at least post up. So what do we got here? Some pluses. Let's send a guy right to the end there. I should have sent him across the river. It's mostly squares. Just got 40 more. Oh, of course. I forgot to connect. After I redid the network, I forgot to put more lines across the water. That is our main problem here right now. We don't have any way to get square passengers across the water. So, send that guy. And then we'll send him up there. So that. And as long as the game doesn't blow up right now, we should hit our 1,000. There we go. So I wouldn't call that a clean and simple 1,000 passenger example, but the video does show off some of the techniques you need to squeak your way through on a map that's a bit tricky. So all those ghost lines, that's the kind of stuff you can use to keep yourself alive long enough to hit your targets and deal with some of the challenges. As I said, this didn't go too easy, but the challenge for Berlin is to do this map with one train per line. So you think about how hard it would be to do this where I couldn't put more than one train on any of those lines. It's tricky. Anyway, hope somebody finds that useful. I'll catch you all later.